So tonight, as part of our State of the School night, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of those things that we really have been thinking a lot about here at Roycemore. Those skills, those things that we need to make sure our young people have at their disposal when they leave Roycemore, so that they can be successful not only in college, but in their careers and in life. Because honestly, unless you're taking the MCATs or applying to law school or CPA, there's not a lot of high-stake testing that you have in life. There are some, but not a lot. So you need those skills, but more importantly, what is needed are those critical thinking skills, the ability to collaborate, the ability to communicate. Our high school students are going to be put on the test tonight for communicating with you all about what they've been doing. So ask them good questions about what they've been doing. They're excited to share. And the creativity. All of those things we really focus on kind of baking into our program, and we want to find more and more ways to do that so that the kids are really successful beyond Roycemore. We have a beautiful group of kids here. I love to highlight them and feature them as much as I can. At the end of this evening, I'm going to provide you with a sneak peek of a new video that has been produced for us. One of multiple videos that feature our kids. I think some of them are in the room here. They got to see it earlier. They were a little bit embarrassed about seeing themselves on the screen. But I'm so proud of the work that happens here and delighted to share it with you, and hope you are as proud as I am. Back in November, we hosted the world's first high school creative jam. And I think our kids had no idea what that was all about until really the day came. And even today, a student said to me, I'm really excited about kind of taking the next step with what we developed in creating our app during the creative jam. So all the students learned the Adobe XD software, and they worked in teams, and they were challenged to come up with an app that solved a problem related to zero waste in Evanston. And they heard from Kumar Jensen, who's the Chief Sustainability Officer in the city of Evanston. He spoke to them about how Evanston has been the first city in our nation to have a commitment to zero waste by 2050, and they had to create an app related to that people could use and choose what audience that was for, and then present that out. So it was all time-based, learning a new skill, coming up with ideas, working in teams, and then presenting at the end. And we had about 5 or 6 people from Adobe Corporation who came here to see what our kids were doing. And in fact, a week or so after our event, they had a debrief with us because they wanted to use what they learned from our event to go and do a big event in Utah for like several hundred students there. So we served as the prototype, and I'm in ongoing conversations with Adobe about other activities that we might be able to be hosts for here that serve our students in these skills that they're able to acquire. So excited about that. Also, our growing relationship with Northwestern University. We've had a long-standing relationship with them, and it's so fortunate for Roycemore to have had that and to build on that. And we have so much expertise right here in our community that we can draw from. Many folks in this room working at Northwestern and bringing their talent and connections to the benefit of our students. One of the ones I wanted to highlight that's a new one that we are, two. One is with the Kellogg School. So Kellogg has a Board Fellows program where MBA students at Kellogg serve on nonprofit boards, and they learn all about what's it like to be on a nonprofit board, but they also lend their MBA talents to the benefit of the institution. So we had our first Kellogg Board Fellow this past year serving on our board, and we've just been matched with a new Kellogg Board Fellow who will be joining us and is super excited about being a part of Roycemore. In addition to that, the Family Institute is a new and deepening partnership for us. You may have seen in our newsletter highlighted some of the resources available from the Family Institute for you and some of the research that they've done. They do amazing work, and that information is available to you as parents. Most of us think about just their counseling and therapy and neuropsych work that they do there, but they actually do a lot of amazing research. And so we want to make that available to you all. And we're talking with them about deeper engagement where some of their people will be on site here, because one of the things we're thinking about is if, as a young person and a learner, you can really understand your brain really well, you can reach a much higher potential for yourself. So we want to explore that in a deeper way in partnership with Northwestern. So more to come in that regard. The other relationships I've talked about before, so I'm not going to keep going on this. But I do want to brag a little bit about our graduates. So we had a graduating class of 27 last year, and we're hearing from them. They love to come back and share with us about their experience here and how it prepared them for college. And so I wanted to feature 3 of our recent graduates and what they shared with us about their experience leaving here and heading off to college. So this is Kaki, and she is at UPenn and pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Evolutionary Biology and a minor in English. Now, isn't that so Roycemore, right? English and science. There are so many kids who are real Renaissance people because of the experience and opportunities that they get here. And I don't have to read what it says there for you. I'll let you read for yourself. But she took full advantage of everything that Roycemore had to offer. She was a lifer. She went here from pre-K all the way through 12th grade, got involved in every single thing from productions to sports to service, took classes at Northwestern, and really leveraged those opportunities to do what she's now doing as a freshman at UPenn. This is Riley. Riley is at Colby College in Maine. He loves the Northeast, and that was a place he was really interested in going, and Colby is a wonderful small liberal arts college. And he really loved studying French here and was really passionate about that. And Colby has this amazing program where, as a first-year student, you can go to France. And so his very first semester at Colby, he went to France. So he did his orientation and then he went to France. And he is loving life. So wouldn't you love that? But he was really pleased with how his skills that he gained here allowed him to go and do that. And this is Daria. Daria, it could have gone to any number of schools. She is a brilliant mathematician and scientist and musician. You may have, if you came to any of our events in the past years, our fundraising events, she played the violin, amazing violinist. And she's at the University of Illinois, pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics. This is just like one of those young ladies who's this amazing STEM women in STEM. And her sister also graduated from Roycemore, and she came back to me this summer and was talking about how can we get more girls in STEM. So super passionate about this, and the environment here at Roycemore allows young people to pursue any number of fields. So I just wanted to highlight how they're doing. The arts, too, is such a big thing here, and I wanted to just revisit this amazing project that happened back in November where so many of our kids were involved in this big mural. Actually 2 murals that were created, and they are actually in Nagasaki now, and they will be part of a display next August to celebrate or recognize the 75th anniversary of World War II. And we had so many students involved in this. We did have a visit from a number of art educators from Nagasaki who came here and worked with our students, so it was just really beautiful. And the mayor of Evanston came to celebrate what we were doing and to meet the delegation from Nagasaki. And as he was talking with me, he said, "Man, every time I'm here, there's so much art going on." He was looking at all the art in the lobby and on the walls and everything, and he just was blown away by our art program here at Roycemore. I said, "Yeah, our teachers draw art out of kids that didn't even know they were artists. They didn't know they had it in them." So I'm really proud of what happens for our young people to have access to all of those things here at our small school. We also like to feature our artists. And so I put this on here because we started a new activity this year where I feature on Wednesday mornings a young person who has some artistic talent. And it happens right out here in the lobby as families are arriving at the start of school. We've had an Irish dancer, we've had pianists, we've had cellists, and I'm looking for more. So if your young people are artists in any way and would like to feature their talent, it is the most wonderful way to start a Wednesday morning. All right, so what to look forward to coming up, looking ahead. We are going to be continuing our focus on design thinking. We believe that skill is an important skill no matter what career you end up pursuing. So we'll be finding ways throughout our curriculum to make sure students learn that skill and have opportunities to explore that. We have some new offerings in our upper school, including robotics, digital media creation, so building on all of those Adobe tools that are at the disposal of our students, helping them learn that, and what we're calling 500 level courses. So we're having an exploration right now about post-AP world. So there are schools all across our country that are really questioning the value of advanced placement classes. It's sort of the ultimate in standardized tests, in a way, the AP test. And it's a really extensive and broad coverage of information versus a deeper dive in something. And a lot of our young people really want to explore something at greater depth and get into discussion and dialogue and exploration. And so some of our faculty are really interested in this, and a couple of them are going to be offering a couple of courses next fall that are the equivalent of AP rigor, but more deeper engagement. And so that's coming. But related to that, we have a group of faculty that have been meeting throughout the year that are calling themselves the AP Efficacy Task Force. And so they have been studying what other schools are doing around the country and what the College Board is doing. Of course, the College Board wants to hang on to APs because it's money for them. But they want to look at what makes sense for Roycemore and for our kids. We as a school have put a stake in the ground by joining the Mastery Transcript Consortium. This is a group of about 300 schools across the country that have said we want to look at competency-based assessments as a new approach to assessment. And then how do you create a transcript that can showcase that? You may know, if you're following kind of the college admissions piece at all, that the colleges are dropping the requirement of SATs and ACTs it's kind of like dropping like flies. The University of Chicago dropped it a couple of years ago. Just this past week, I think Northern Illinois University dropped it. The big state schools are the ones that have been kind of the holdouts in a way because it's a lot of work reading all of those applications and not having something that you can point to weed kids out. But straight grades, straight just listing of classes, don't say a whole lot about the amazing talents of the young people who are applying to these colleges. So we're looking at ways of how can we highlight things like JST in a richer way. And so the Mastery Transcript Consortium has created a tool for doing that, where that transcript could actually link to a JST project and showcase that and tell so much more about a young person. So we're sort of backward designing and we're saying, okay, what if a number of years from now that's where we want to be, and how do we get there going forward? So we're being very thoughtful and very deliberate about this approach, but we want to invite you all as a community to engage with us in dialogue about this direction so that we're really thinking it through well. And we'll talk about that more in a second. I've talked about the power skills in the past. This is really looking at those things like collaboration and communication, creativity that I was talking about before. This is going to be more and more emphasis for us, as well as the ability to work in teams. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had the first of these strategic discussions, and some of the folks in the room were part of that. And we talked about what does it mean for a young person to reach their potential, and how can we help a person to truly reach their potential? How can you even know what that is? And this picture is a little mind map that we did as a group, where we started with, well, what is potential and what does that mean? And then we had a really great discussion around that. I think that we benefit so much by having such amazing, talented people in our community that can help us think through this process, and I thank those folks who were there helping us. This is sort of the next step of what we started a couple of years ago in Next Gen Roycemore conversations that brought design thinking to our program, that brought more project-based learning to us, that brought thinking more about that balance between the progressive and the pragmatic approach and how we march along in that journey. So the next piece is next Wednesday. If you want to be part of the next conversation, I invite you to do that. We are going to be focusing on the skills that we should be teaching students in the future. And that builds on things that we talked about 2 weeks ago, which is, beyond growth learning, beyond straight emphasis on tests and grades, and really understanding oneself as a learner. What does that look like? So if you're interested in this, please come, and I'll be sending out another sign up to give you an opportunity to do that. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the data and the behind the scenes things that happen that you don't see. You get to see me a lot because I am always out in front, but you don't see the amazing work that supports what I can do and what our faculty can do by our board of trustees. And I am so fortunate to have an amazing group of individuals that are about 15 of them that are current parents, alumni, grandparent, and community members who all are here to support our kids. And Kathleen Scheit is the vice chair of our board and will be taking over as board chair in July. Many of you might know Tom Ellis. He served our board for many years, and we've had a very, very thoughtful transition where Kathleen has been working alongside Tom all of this year. to be ready to take on this big job. And I'm so grateful to you, Kathleen, for the role that you play and for being here tonight.
Hello, everyone. Please let me know if you can't hear. I have a little bit of scratchy throat, so I'm trying to speak up. So Adrian already described some of the attributes of the folks who are named on this slide. Even though they represent themselves as parents, as alumni, as grandparents, as other heads of school, as even an executive from Rotary International here in town, their interest is all aligned with ours to represent the school in its best interest. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight, about what we do, what the work of the board is, and put it a little more into perspective with all the programs and the great initiatives that Adrian talked about. So primarily what we do is really look at the long-term interests for Roycemore, the students, the community, the faculty, and we follow the principles of the National Association of Independent Schools. So we take our governance responsibility very seriously. So there's a fiduciary role, there's also a long-term generative leadership role that involves seeing where the school is in the community, where it is in the economy, and how it relates to our competitors, other schools in the area, and other schools really across the country in terms of what the current thinking is and what we need to do primarily from an economic perspective to support the school and the community and its work. So our focus is really long-term and strategic, and we're trying to look next year and well into the future beyond that. So we're not responsible for the day-to-day operations of the school. We have a fantastic head of school, a wonderful staff, and great faculty who take care of that. We're here to be advisors and really look out for the school as a whole to support that programming. So we work in very close partnership with Adrian and the rest of the senior staff to support the various goals of the school and to be able to carry out the school's mission and values. And you'll see all of those things on the website. So if you want to know more about who the board is or what that mission and strategic values and goals are, they're right there on the website. And we as a board periodically go back and revisit them to ground ourselves again in why Roycemore is here and what our mission is as an organization. So fundamentally, the board is most responsible, I would say, for the financial stability and future of Roycemore. And this involves a lot of strategic financial planning and engaging with participants in the community, sometimes financial institutions, a variety of constituents to message about what the school is doing, what our needs are, what our responsibilities are to the community. And this takes the form of various committees that you see listed here. I'm not going to talk about each of them. Some of their titles probably explain pretty well what they do. But you'll hear a lot about the development committee, for example, especially in the next few months as we prepare for the scholarship fundraiser and learn more about what's going to be happening in the school from a facilities perspective. And also wanted to mention one of the newest committees we have as what she needs to support the school and fulfill her role as head of school, and also evaluation. We have certain expectations that we as a community have for Adrian and for the school. So we help identify resources and means for her and the staff to achieve those, and also identify goals for the future years coming. Right now, we're in the process of putting together a group and would welcome as many participants from the community that might be interested. So if you are interested or you have ideas around strategic planning for Roycemore, please contact me, Adrian, or any of the other trustees. We'd love to have your involvement. So let's get to the numbers. I know you all just got re-enrollment packages or enrollment packages, and I always wonder, as a consumer, how we stack up compared to others in the area. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this. I think the numbers largely speak for themselves, but the things that really jump out at me on this slide are a couple. One, we're number 5 on the niche.com list, but we have the lowest student-to-teacher ratio, and we have the lowest tuition. So from a value proposition, I think that speaks volumes. And if you look at the percentile rankings and where we fit compared to other independent schools. That says a lot. I mean, we do a lot as a board to be very mindful about the economics of attending Roycemore and our responsibility to the community from year to year as we look at the finances in the school. And I think this puts in stark detail, how we compare to other similarly ranked schools in the area. Each year we engage in a deliberative process to look at tuition, to look at the budget for the next year, to look at cost of living increases, inflation, the cost of running this beautiful environmental school, and make appropriate adjustments both in tuition, in faculty and staff compensation. There are programming costs that go up every year, even if the inflation rate is this small. So these are all things that we take into account as we look at tuition and the budget for the following year. And we try to keep the costs as low as possible while providing Roycemore the resources it needs to try to best serve our students and the wonderful people who spend their days with our students. So you're also part of this. And this is a snapshot of how Roycemore stacks up last year against giving at other independent schools throughout Chicago. And this data comes from the National Association of Independent Schools. It's reported by all the schools who are part of NAIS. So I'll just take a minute for you to take a look. There's more we can do, and part of my goal here tonight is to encourage you to do what you can. We need everyone to participate in the annual giving, the scholarship fundraiser, in whatever way that you can as a family. And we recognize that different people have different resources and talents to offer. But I think strongly suggest that you think about where you fit in this data. We're really looking for a show of confidence. In addition, I know, to the tuition that you pay, but in addition to that, what else can you give to the school to make sure that we have a strong foundation to build upon for our students? Bringing it a little closer to home. So right down the street, we've got Baker and Beacon. And these are the data that they reported to NAIS about their philanthropic support. We're coming along. I will say that the parent percentage here that we see is a huge improvement over what we've had in past years. In fact, we're just one contribution away from 50% family involvement thus far this year, which is a tremendous growth from just a couple of years ago. But I think we can do more. So, a couple things. If you haven't done a review on Leash.com, consider putting your input there, devoted to providing scholarships and financial assistance for students who attend here. And that's a deliberate decision that was made several years ago to really preserve and help support the socioeconomic diversity of our school. It's part of the reason why we chose to bring our students here personally, was to have some diversity of perspective based on a variety of factors. So that's a huge amount. It's about $1.8 million. So in the grand scheme of things, some might ask, is that responsible? The fact is that it's something that we've taken upon us as an institution, and we work very hard to try to preserve that commitment. And that's why I showed you this slide, to demonstrate how important it is to our community to have this ability to attract and retain a broad variety of students. And frankly, compared to other independent schools, this is pretty generous. The average amount of financial aid given at other Chicago area schools is about 24% of the student population. At Roycemore, it's about 50% of our student population receives some sort of financial aid. And that means a lot. And I think the point is that we all can contribute to help preserve that philosophy and continue to support the ongoing diversity